Hey, this is a TvT you sent, and I'm gonna skip over the opening and just, basically say that you're basically even at this point. You've been behind all game, but it doesn't matter because all that ends up meaning is that when you're both maxed, your opponent has 3,000 bucks in the bank that he can't spend that you don't have. So he's no longer really ahead. But the big thing that's I mean, right now, if you drop two evenly skilled players into this game, there'd be an even chance of either one of them winning. Like blue has the same upgrades as you, the same composition as you, the same everything. But the big difference is that he's going to continually add command centers throughout the game, so that if you knock down one of his bases, he says, "Well, that was one of 6. I'm still mining. I don't care." Whereas you're just going to take 3 bases and turtle all game, basically. You're just going to turtle and turtle and turtle. When you max out, when you max out at 200 unit space, that's the time to add 5 racks and 3 starports and 4 factories or something, so that when you lose your army, you can regenerate it. And that's not something you're doing, but that's also not something he's doing. He is adding some starports, but mostly it's just going to come down to these additional bases. So in TvT, it's all about positioning, because if a Terran ever sieges up in a position like right here, you lose this base. There's no saving it at that point. And if he ever sieges up right here so that he can block off your main ramp, you lose the game. And if he ever sieges up, like, just if you sieged up above this base, he just loses that base, So you just can't let an enemy Terran get to certain positions, which just means sensor towers. That's the answer. You need to know where his army is, and you need to make sure that it's not anywhere near one of your bases. So especially once you're at 200 unit space, there's just no reason not to throw down sensor towers everywhere. So a combination of sensor towers to protect your bases, holding the tower if you can. Again, your army is the same size as his, so whoever gets to the tower first gets to keep it. And you never even tried for the tower. He took the tower. He had this base. You had this base. But you feel like you need to stay back and protect this base, whereas he knows that because he's out in midfield, he doesn't need to protect this base. If you attack it, he'll sacrifice this base and go attack you back. So you're defending by putting emplacements in front of your bases and saying, okay, I'm gonna turtle here. But at 150 unit space and above, turtling is bad, because you're gonna max out and then you're gonna not be able to do anything with your maxed out army. So you do have a better composition. He's got a lot of marauders that he doesn't need. You would win a straight up fight if you guys just duked it out in the middle and neither of you sieged up, or you both sieged up at the same time. You are in a better position, despite having been a little bit behind throughout the early game. But he's taking bases everywhere. He's not defending them. He's not leaving a siege tank here. He's not even putting a turret here or anything. Just put a sensor tower here, make more bases, put them everywhere. When you have infinity money, as both of you do, losing this command center doesn't hurt him. So you guys trade a base. He kills one of your bases, you kill one of his bases. But again, this is 1 of 7, and this is 1 of 3. So now you're not mining, and he is. And again, with the amount of money you have, that's not really a death blow. You still have a 200 unit space army. You still have a crap ton of money that you're never really going to be able to spend. So losing your only mining base, while it's it's bad, it's not game-endingly bad. It's not the end of the world. What really ends the game is that now you're not mining, he's mining all over the place, and so he's got a ton of confidence and you don't have any confidence. You feel like because you lost your only mining base, you have to get it back. So you just kind of suicide your army into his entrenched position. The correct response to somebody sieging up tanks and having their army next to this base is to say, okay, I can't have this base anymore. I will mine from this base and this base and this base, and I will attack him, You take your army and say, look, you get that position. I'm going to siege up some tanks so that you can't push any further forward, and I'm going to focus on something else. So move your army across the midfield, knock down this base and this base, while you keep some bunkers and siege tanks like on the high ground here, and bunkers here, and siege tanks here, so that he can't go any further with his attack. It's just like as a Protoss against the Terran. If you leave some sentries behind to force field the ramp, then you can take your whole army and go into his main without any fear of a counterattack. That's the same idea. You put some siege tanks in a position where he can't push into you and rally your Raxes there so that eventually you'll have Marines there to protect your siege tanks, and then you just go attack him back. So attacking into an entrenched position is never ever something you want to do when you guys are on even footing. I mean, it's okay to trade horribly and suicide into an entrenched position if you're so far ahead like he is that you know you can instantly remax your army, and you know that even if your opponent drops 2 of your bases at once, you'll still have 3 bases mining, that kind of stuff. But for you were kind of even footing army wise, and that was just bad. So I do think that the early to mid game went okay. You know, you made some mistakes in the early game, like opening with Reapers and then having all your Reapers die without getting any kills is pretty tragic. But it didn't put you so far behind that you didn't end up in a position where you would have ended up anyway. So from 19 minutes until the end of the game is really the only part of this game that mattered. And it all came down to him continuing to make command centers and you not continuing to take expansions. Him taking the middle and keeping the middle, and you not taking the middle and keeping the middle. Him having a watchtower protecting these possible encroachment positions and you not taking a watchtower. Him getting a good siege position and you not getting a good siege position. And then once he had one, you suicided into it instead of going around. So those were the things that really crushed this game. And like I said, we went over SC2 gears, and we know that you're 35% win rate in TvT, and you have a great win rate in TvP and an average win rate in TvZ. So TvT is what you really want to be focusing on, and it's this late game positioning. That's not even necessarily late game, but this positioning war that it just, in this game, you kind of demonstrate a lack of understanding of what you should be doing positioning wise. So it's something we need to work on. Anywho.